just remember to ask yourself sometimes why you got into all of this. I think it's very easy to lose sight in the global rat race that is modern guitar playing. Which it make it sound very negative, but I do feel like I do not want to be a part of that anymore. I want to do my own thing, and the song is king.
What made you sort of think that? Or was the first thing that made you kind of, maybe, I don't know whether that was like a decision in your head or if that's just something you've just as an ongoing principle just decided to move away from? Gradual realization.
I think all comes back to me starting to sing, really. As I discovered, I was suddenly able, now that I was a singer, I was able to revisit music that I grew up with and reconnect with that. And going back to the thing earlier, the kind of peer pressure that I felt to do something to impress a certain group of people drew me away from the initial reason why I started all of this. So I was headed down a path where I would have ended up very unhappy, I think. And yeah, and just realizing what playing with, first of all, playing with other musicians in the same room is an experience that is, I think, very almost prehistoric, very fundamental. It's something that will never go away, in my opinion. And that is something that brought back so much of my passion. And then on top of that, singing is to me is amazing, and playing music that it could even be considered a little cheesy by some, but I cherish so much that I had the opportunity to be in a room with somebody like Andy Timmons, back me up while I sing Still Got the Blues. If you had told me that 10 years ago, I wouldn't have believed you, flat out. Yeah. And those are experiences that I, for the longest time, I didn't realize needed and wanted. But now I do. Now I know that is exactly what I want to be doing in my life.
I think this is all like useful stuff for, I hate to sort of demean all you're saying by calling it useful, but like there'll be a lot of guitarists who are maybe, I don't want to say leaning on, but maybe sort of relying on technical proficiency and complicated music, maybe like you said, not because it's truly what they love, but because it's almost this need to impress or to like even just impress themselves. So actually to hear it from someone like yourself who, you could choose to go down that route and you still could, but to choose something a bit more that's based more on connection. I was going to ask you about sort of collaboration and what sort of draws you to that, but I think you sort of already answered it in that it,
no, also I feel like I've had a good enough look into that rabbit hole to know that it's not for me. I know that I could do it if I wanted to, but I genuinely do not want to. And realizing what you don't want is a great thing. For example, when I was in college, in my 20s, I went to jazz college and I was peer pressured into becoming a jazz guitar player. And for the longest time, I thought I wanted to be a legit jazz guitar player. Now, I went to a Jonathan Kreisberg concert not too long ago. And he's like the top shelf jazz guitar player out there. He's one of the world's elite jazz guitar players. And I loved it so much. I really loved it. I thought it was a fantastic concert. And I was very content in going, when going home, I realized I'm glad that he's doing it, but I don't need to be doing that. And it's the same when I hear an amazing flamenco player or an amazing gypsy jazz player. Or a classical player or whatever. Somebody that does something that's completely different from me. 22-year-old me would have thought, I need to go home, I need to be able to do that as well. Because otherwise I don't get the respect from my peers. But nowadays I realize they're so good at that, and they should be the ones good at that, and I should be good at what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's a kind of tricky. I think it's a lesson that like we're all aware we need to learn, that idea of just doing something for yourself. Like everyone, it's almost quite painful because everyone knows that that's what, it's almost a bit of a cliche, isn't it? That follow your own path and your truth and all that stuff. But it's almost because it's become so cliche, people almost ignore the fact that you do need to
it becomes cliche for a reason.
Yeah.
It becomes a cliche because it's true.